Hello, welcome back to the channel, Boy with a Camera. My name is June. I'm a videographer of sorts. Today's video is the first video in what I hope to make a series of just raw audio comparisons. I feel like this is very beneficial to anybody who's searching for a microphone, and especially for people who aren't really deep into the audio space. Because for me, I'm not really an expert in audio. I don't really understand all the technical jargon that's associated with it or that comes up in the industry. And I'm not the greatest at post-processing. So for me, it's imperative that I find a mic that is easy to work with out of the box and provides the least resistance between recording and getting a video out. So when Fifine reached out to me asking to review their K052 USB condenser microphone, I thought it'd be a perfect time to start this series and just to provide raw recordings or audio recordings so that you can make the decision for yourself. This series is targeted towards people like me who aren't really well versed in the audio space, but they really want to get the best, highest quality audio that they can. I find that I'm very limited in what I can do to make a microphone sound better. So for me, it's imperative to find a mic that sounds pretty good out of the box and doesn't require a lot of post-processing. And kind of like the ISO performance of mirrorless cameras or video cameras, I feel like audio is a somewhat arguably subjective thing. I feel like people's tolerance for audio quality is different from person to person, so I want to provide this series to allow the listener to make their own decision and conclusions about the microphones that I'm using. Now, the microphones we're using today is the Shure SM7B. This is what I've been using for my podcast stuff or these YouTube videos for the last little bit. It's a very prevalent microphone in the podcast space today and the YouTube space for good reason. The audio quality is great, it looks great on camera, and if it works, why bother changing it? However, this microphone requires a ton of gain, and usually that suggests that you need to pick up a preamp, inline preamp, so something like a Fethead or in my case, Cloud Lifter. And of course, being an XLR microphone, it requires a little bit more setup than something like a USB microphone. Now, the expectation is that you're going to get much better quality out of a microphone like this versus a USB microphone, but that again is something I hope that you can decide for yourself. Is a USB microphone good enough in sound quality for your purposes? Which brings us to the second mic. So this is the K052 from Fifine Technologies. They actually did reach out to me and provide this unit asking for a review. That will be its own separate video, so I'm hoping that that dispels any worries of bias or anything like that. Again, these are just going to be raw audio samples for you to make the decision and to see, is this good enough or not? Now, if my 2 cents are worth anything, I will provide them at the end of the video, but up until then, I'll try to keep my opinions out of it. So the structure of most of these tests, I think, will start with a longer intro like this so that I can switch between the 2 microphones and see if you notice that I have been switching. The second part, I want to do blind A/B tests, so switching between the 2 microphones, but letting you know when I have switched. And in that section, I'm hoping you can begin to develop an affinity for one sound over the other. The third section, I'll reveal which microphone was what and then continue that process of A/B switching so that you can further cement your decision or which microphone that you prefer. And the last section will have far fewer switches because I think the other thing to keep in mind is comparing things side by side really accentuates the differences. And I think in this case, especially if we're comparing a cheaper microphone to a more expensive microphone, I think is inevitably going to sound better on the more expensive microphone. And if it's side by side, the differences are highlighted so that in your mind you kind of think, oh, it's impossible to use that the microphone that I don't really like as much. When in actuality, if we hear a longer stretch from one microphone, we might actually be okay with that level of audio quality and won't be influenced by the side-by-side comparison. And hopefully if that intro is long enough, that should be enough to conclude the blind A/B testing. Now I'll indicate which microphone is being used. To give us something to read, I'm just probably going to hop on to Sony Alpha Rumors today. I am personally interested in switching over to Sony for all of my video needs, so I think this is a pretty good place to start. So we're reading about the Sony FX6. The title of this article by Ryan Mense on F-Stoppers is, "This is the Sony FX6 ... probably." That Sony Venice looks nice, the FX9 looks nice, and the FX6 looks really small. I would love to have that camera. All right, anyways, thank you to F-Stoppers for writing that article. I hope you do not mind me reading it out loud. I was gonna formally split it up into the 3 sections. Maybe I'll still put a header in between to let you know, but I'm hoping that provides enough for you to get a good idea of what each microphone sounds like and is capable of. Keep in mind, every voice kind of reacts or sounds different depending on which mic is being used. An SM7B might sound like good, I guess, for me, but might sound terrible for you. Same thing with this Fifine K052. Now, I did say I would put in my 2 cents at the end of the video, and I've done a couple of tests between these two microphones, and honestly, I'm blown away by the K052. When I was talking to the rep, she sounded very confident in this microphone, so much so that I was beginning to be weirded out. I guess, I don't know, I was very skeptical that this microphone would sound any good. I do think there's a lot of sibilance in the K052, and there seems to be a lot of self-noise. The provided windscreen, I think, helps a little bit, but obviously doesn't handle plosives, especially not as well as this SM7B. I wouldn't put a pop filter on, though, because I think that defeats the purpose of this small form factor and convenience factor. I love the fact that you can just plug it in and it works straight out of the box. The low end was very surprising for me with the K052. Honestly, yeah, like the sound overall coming out of this microphone, I think is more than good enough, actually, if you are looking to start a solo podcast or something just very casually. For YouTube videos, I think it sounds more than good enough. I'm hoping that those longer stretches of time playing the K052 audio surprised you as much as it surprised me. The quality is phenomenal, and again, it's just $60 Canadian on Amazon. So thanks again to Fifine for reaching out, giving me this mic and letting me review it. Honestly, that's about it for this video. Hopefully that helps you. If you have other microphones that you're interested in and would like me to test out in this sort of fashion, please let me know. If you have suggestions on improving the format of this video and this type of comparison, please let me know as well. I don't have much confidence in my audio post-processing to provide examples of that, because I feel like that would skew it. Like somebody with more experience and knowledge than me would provide a much more accurate comparison, I think, between a processed SM7B file and a processed K052. I think that's about it, though. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please let me know as well in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.